Hey, good morning, everybody. What a beautiful day here in Northern Illinois, and I'm so glad you are here with me to enjoy it. I'm so looking forward to spring being here and things popping up and everything warming up because winter always seems to take so long, especially in the Chicago area. So, anyways, if you don't know who I am, my name is Rita Hickman. I'm a shiatsu massage therapist, I'm a body mind expert, I'm an Asian medicine energy worker, and I'm a master intuitive healer. And I love to work with women. Hey, Kathy, great to see you. I love to work with women, and Jennifer's here too, in order to help them navigate. Hey, Mary Jane, navigate the symptoms of being alive anymore, the symptoms of dealing with this high stress, overexhausting, overwhelming. Hey, Deb, good to see you. Environment that we all live in anymore. And I only work with women. Hey, Katie. I only work with women, and I've been doing this for about 10 years or so. And I got into it because I knew that there had to be a different way besides therapy and medication and just sucking it up or having all sorts of problems in your life. Hey, Stevie. So, one of the main symptoms that have been coming into my space lately, actually for the last year or so, has been brain fog. And if you don't know what brain fog is, it's kind of like just the ability not to think, the inability to get clear thoughts. You can't grasp onto a thought and hold on to it. You're not able to take a thought and flesh it out because it's there and then it's gone. And this has been happening a lot. Now, I ran into brain fog myself about 2.5 years ago when there was a big flu going around. And it was something that people were dealing with, sometimes symptoms for months or even one woman a year on end, where you just couldn't even grasp your thoughts. Hey, Liz. And it's a really scary feeling. And because of that, I got some great tips that have been helping women ever since to deal with that feeling of you just can't get your head clear. You know the information's there, but you can't focus enough in order to act on it or even explain it well to anybody else. So some of the symptoms you may notice in people around you and in yourself. Sometimes you start talking a lot more. Hey, Julie. Sometimes you start talking a lot more because it's just you hope that if you keep talking, at least the point may get across because you know the point's in there and you want to communicate it to somebody. It's also when you have a hard time. Hey, Ronnie, you have a hard time focusing. You have a hard time staying on a task for any period of time. It's almost like you need a lot of breaks. People who get brain fog, some of the reasons they get it are fibromyalgia, are stress, are because they're sick, poor body mechanics, or repetitive movements or repetitive things they need to do where they aren't moving enough. Those are some of the main reasons, unless it's a medication that they're on, and that can be as well as low blood sugar if they're dealing with their blood sugars all over the place, or maybe they're pre-diabetic in some way, or their diet isn't very good. Hey, Veronica. These are all some of the causes for brain fog. But irregardless of what's causing it, the bigger thing, at the end of the day, what's usually creating brain fog is your brain is not getting enough blood, oxygen, blood sugar. It's not getting what it needs in order to be alert and be present to what's going on. For some reason, either the blood that's getting to the brain doesn't have the sugar, and the brain does run on sugar, doesn't have the sugar that it needs, or the blood isn't getting to the brain in the first place. And so one of the main things that I learned helps with brain fog, because when I was dealing with this for months on end, it just wouldn't go away because of this illness, the main thing that would cut through for me was definitely exercise and movement. Being able to, I would do the rowing machine, I would walk, I would do the treadmill until my brain would clear up for a while. Because all of that movement, it opens up your blood vessels, it gets more blood to the brain. And even if you don't have a lot of what you need, in the blood, even if you're still deficient for something, it's increasing the flow. So one of the main ways to help with brain fog is to get moving, at least for about a half an hour. And so as soon as you notice the symptoms, you notice you're talking too much, you notice you can't focus, you notice that you're drifting away easily, or you're staring off into space. The first thing you need to do to help yourself is to get up and move. Things which are swinging your arms, things which are moving your head and neck. That will help considerably. Now, if that's not possible, let's say you've got dizziness that goes with it, or you don't have the time or the space in order to get that movement and that exercise in. Let's say you're at work and you can't take a break. Remember, the focus is on getting blood and nutrients to the brain. So when you're sitting there and you've got brain fog, if you tense up your muscles and you relax your muscles, it tells those muscles to relax. So many times if you're sitting at your desk and you can't move and you're feeling like you're spacey, tense up your shoulders and your neck and relax them like 3 to 5 times, because that starts to relax the muscles, open up the blood vessels, and get more blood to the brain. The next thing you need to do is you need to drink water, because that will increase your circulation. For me, I've always dealt with low blood pressure. And one of the reasons I've had low blood pressure is because I've struggled with not drinking enough water my whole life. And because of that, my body, there isn't enough pressure to get the blood into my brain. And so when you drink water, it actually boosts up your blood pressure a little bit, so that the blood can get to your brain, so that it works better. Another thing that I would use, that I use with my clients all the time, are acupressure points. So at the back of your head, at the back of your skull, right back there, right underneath the skull and right on top of the skull, are a lot of muscles which are like gatekeepers for the brain. And because they're gatekeepers for the brain, they can keep blood from getting into the brain, or they can allow blood into the brain. And so if you're sitting there and you can't go anywhere and you can't do anything, and you've had your water and you've done your shoulder things, you can take your fingers or your hand and you can press into the back of your head. You can even try that now if you want. There's 2 lines. Think one line that's right underneath the bony part of your skull, and then if you go up like 1/4 of an inch, hey Ro, if you go up like 1/4 of an inch up, towards the top of your head, right at the on top of the bone, those are some great acupressure points as well. Those points, if you can play with them if you want, or you can sit and find a spot that feels good and you can hold it. You can use your thumb if you need to. Now, let's say you're home at night and your hands are tired and you don't want to do acupressure points because it's a lot of work. The next thing that I would suggest there we go. Good, we're back on. So let's say you are home at night and you're tired. Hey, Jeanette, you're tired and you just want to rest and relax a little bit. This is something that has saved so many people, so many of my clients, in order to just keep that blood flowing to their head and their neck and brain. The first thing that I would do is I would take something warm. You know, we all have those, eye masks or neck things. If you're at this point in your life, you probably have something that you can use. And if you don't, take a sock, fill it with rice, and tie the end of the sock and microwave it. That will warm it up, okay? So, actually, if you have two socks, one which is warm and one which is cold, that's even better. But let's give you a system of what you can do at night. Take the warm one, your warm sock filled with rice, and warm it up a little bit. Warm up those blood vessels and those neck muscles to open it up, as well as your shoulder muscles. Get this whole thing warmed up. You can do it with a hot bath or a hot shower as well. Something to get a little bit of pinkness. If you can get some pinkness into your neck or into your shoulders, onto your skin, that's a very good, starting point. That's a very good sign. Then, if you've got any tennis balls, I prefer tennis balls or racket balls. You can put those in a sock, tie the end of the sock, and lay on the racket balls or the tennis balls wherever it feels good. The sock keeps the balls from rolling away or going where they don't need to go. That's why you tie the end of the sock. And you just rest on them, and you can put your head on the side where it feels good to get those muscles. You can put them in the middle. You can rest your head, like if you're laying in bed or on the floor, you can rest your head on those tennis balls and those racket balls and use it to give a great self-massage into the back of your neck. Because remember, it's about, hey, Violetta, it's about increasing the blood circulation to your brain. It's about increasing that blood flow. So people find great relief, and it feels so amazing when they're able to get those tennis or racket balls just to massage that back of their neck. Now, let's say you want to try another technique. So temperature has a very powerful effect on blood flow. So you've probably heard about how when you have an injury, they tell you to put ice on it and not put heat on it, correct? The reason that you want to put ice on an injury, hey Lisa, and thanks Deb, I appreciate the comment. The reason you put ice on an injury is because cold pulls heat towards it. If you put something warm and something cold together, the heat will migrate towards the cold. The cold will kind of pull it towards it. It's sort of like a leveling out of temperatures. Just like if you had 2 glasses of water and a string between the 2 glasses of water, the water levels will generally level out because the water will migrate on the string. It's the same thing with temperatures. The cold will pull the warm to it, will pull the heat towards it. So if you want to increase circulation in your head, neck, and shoulders, what you want to do is hey Gail, you want to alternate heat and cold. So you may do heat for about 10-15 minutes, and then you may do cold for a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes or so, and then back to heat and back to cold. Because what that does is that opens up the blood vessels with the heat, and then it pulls the blood up towards the brain. Hey Sarah, it just keeps pulling it. It acts like a pumping action. So the alternating of the heat and cold on your shoulders and on your head and neck will increase that blood flow. And when you increase the blood flow, you have a much better chance of not having that brain fog. So if you also want to deal with brain fog on a different way, now we've talked about using heat and cold and working with the muscles and working with increasing the blood circulation itself, the next thing you need to look at is your sugar level. Okay, one of the reasons we get tired in the afternoon is because of the types of carbs that we eat. If you're at this stage of the game, that's true. You have to be careful about simple carbs. But what they might not have told you is that whenever you eat anything that tastes sweet, anything, it could be stevia, it could be aspartame, it could be any sort of artificial sweetener, any sort of natural sweetener, anything that tastes sweet, your body releases insulin. And because it releases insulin, that insulin comes out and it clears out any other sugar that may be in your blood system. And so you end up with a sugar crash, even if you didn't have any sugar. And in fact, it's worse if you don't have any sugar, if it's an artificial sort of sugar, because your body is looking for that, let's say, nutrition. We know sugar isn't necessarily nutrition. Yeah, fruit would be considered sweet too. Anything that's sweet tells your body to release insulin. Now, the insulin comes in, it clears out the blood sugar, and then you end up getting hungry. One of the ways we get hungry is when our blood sugar gets too low, our body says, oh, you must be hungry. Hey, Wendy, good to see you. And so when you have something sweet, especially if it's artificial and doesn't give you any sort of energy at all, because it's fake, then your body runs out of sugar in your blood. And then you have that sugar crash, you get hungry, and your brain, which actually really depends upon sugar to think clearly, can't think clearly anymore. When I was younger and I didn't know any better, one of the ways I would manage my stress was by letting my blood sugar get really low, because then I couldn't think. I couldn't think clearly at all. And that made it easier for me for my stress, because then I didn't worry about anything. But on the body, and if you want to think clearly and function well, you have to be able to think. Yeah, it's very good, Jeanette, to stop drinking the sugar-free drinks. I find when I drink anything that's sugar-free, within 45 minutes to an hour, I'm hungry. Whereas if I drink something that isn't sugar-free, water, then I'm fine. If I drink orange juice, and juice is almost pure sugar, it's got very little fiber or anything to let it get absorbed slowly. So juice is just like, a lot of times just like drinking a Coke. Just like drinking, something that you wouldn't normally drink. There isn't a lot of really great stuff to it unless it's got fiber in it. So when you have that sugar crash, when you have the orange juice, when you go out for breakfast and then an hour later you're starving and you can't think clearly, that's because your blood sugar is low. So how do we work around this? Hi, Bernice. When you do have something that's sweet, you want to make sure that it's got a lot of fiber in it. So something that will work well is oatmeal, potato salad, making sure that if you do eat something sweet, that you eat the fruit with all the fiber in it and not just drink the fruit juice. If you have to, add a fiber, add some a fiber powder or something else that will dense it up to what you're drinking, because that means that your body absorbs the sugar slower. It's like a time release formula. Rather than hitting your system, releasing all of this insulin, your body coming in, the insulin coming in and clearing out all of the blood sugar in your, all the sugar in your blood, you crashing because you're exhausted and you can't think, and you being starving, okay? That's what happens when you drink that Diet Coke. That's the cycle that happens. So instead, when you're going to do something sweet, have something that that will do a time release for the sugar so that you don't get hit all at once. Because you do need sugar in your system. You have to have that because your brain practically, there we go. That's the fuel source for your brain, is sugar. And so they used to give a tip that if you wanted to do better on a test, that you would eat something that was sweet right before the test, because it would give your brain a boost. And it was the same thing with, let's say, carb loading, pasta and potato salad before somebody would have a lot of exercise the next day. It's because it would Hey, Lisa. Okay, so we're back. So carb loading the night before would allow a constant release of energy into your system, so that your brain could still stay sharp, your body could still function. You know, low carb is great, but what happens is your brain starts not being able to work as well. You know, the next thing to think about with brain fog is the food that you're eating. You know, many times if I need to have a clear head, I will fast for a while, because even though that may mess with my blood sugar a little bit, what it also does is it gets a lot of the other things out of my system that are interfering with me being able to think clearly. So if I need to think clearly for something, then let's say I might make sure I have some good fiber or some good, you know, carbs the day before, and then I will let myself not interfere with what I'm eating, not interfere with, not let things get in the way of me thinking clearly. We've got a blood-brain barrier, and it's very difficult for anything to get through that blood-brain barrier. And so sometimes we have to get all of the other junk cleared out and out of the way, so that we can think clearly. Any medications that you've been taking, any processed foods you've been eating, too much salt. Sometimes that detox, we need that detox in order to get the things out of the way so the nutrients can make it into our brain, so the water can make it into our brain, and the sugar that we have can make it into our brain. Okay, last tip, healthy fats. You know, if you're having brain fog, it's a good chance that you're not eating enough healthy fats. Healthy fats come in the form of avocados, olive oil, walnuts are great healthy fats. You need to make sure you've got a lot of good, hey Christine, a lot of good healthy fats in your diet so that your brain keeps functioning clearly. And if you keep using your brain, if you keep working with it, it helps minimize the brain fog as well. Okay, so this seems like this was a great topic. So it looks like I may have to talk about it again sometime, and symptoms that people are dealing with and how to deal with the brain fog. I have to go. I have an appointment this morning. But thank you so much for joining me. Wherever you're watching this, if you could leave a comment below about what you like, topics you'd like to see, things you're working with, I would really appreciate it, because that lets me bring my body-mind expertise to really help everybody. You bet, Jeanette, to really help everybody deal with the symptoms of modern day living. Okay. Thank you as well for today, and I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Bye.